this is happening to me. Then we take this and we turn into thinking that there must be a higher purpose that we need to search for instead of just living and accepting life for what it is, not for what we want it to be. Because it's that point that all suffering comes, when we want something to be other than accepting it for what it is. We think that if God would show us our purpose, then we could be happy. But in fact, true happiness is not given to you by something outside of self. It is a byproduct. It is the byproduct of our perception on life. When we try to fill insecurities with false purpose, nothing good comes out of that. Because insecurities are self-imposed prisons. We build walls around ourselves and our insecurities to try and prevent ourselves from getting hurt. But in turn, we become a prisoner. A prison that someone else builds for you, that's a pretty bad place to be. But a prison that you build for yourself, that's even worse. Because in that scenario, you are the cause of your own imprisonment. In that scenario, you are so short-sighted, you can't see the big picture, that you yourself are prisoner and warden, lock and key. When we understand this, that we are problem and solution, we can free ourselves to not only just be, but to enjoy life for exactly what it is and just for what it is, both good and bad. And now for the big one, the coup de resistance. What is God's plan for me? This one inquiry, together with a God-given purpose, poses the single most dangerous mindset available to the humanity. See, this is because throughout history, groups of people who believe that they have a God-given purpose and that God has given them a personal plan have been at the core of some of the most atrocious acts that we've seen on this planet. Horrendous things done in God's name, in the name of a purpose. See, this point aside, another reason that we need to believe that God has a plan is due to living under this notion that whenever something bad happens, that God works in mysterious ways, right? Whenever something bad happens, they always say that, oh, don't worry, God works in mysterious ways. Or that it's all in God's plan. See, this type of notion pushes us to the need to know, because we essentially are curious beings. That's why we've evolved to the point that we are. It is because of our natural curiosity state. See, so when we live under that type of a notion, it pushes our need for curiosity, and it pushes us to want to know what this plan actually is. Let me pose a question right now to everybody out there. And I want you to have an open mind when I ask you this question. What if God doesn't even know you exist? I'm just saying, let's think about it, right? Because in a world where all possibilities can exist simultaneously, that possibility can, right? Logically speaking, let's look at this. The universe has 1 trillion galaxies. Each galaxy contains 200 billion stars. And a good number of those stars contain solar systems and planets with possible life. That's a lot of universe. Perhaps there is that possibility that there is so much universe out there. And maybe God doesn't even know that you, a tiny, tiny speck on this tiny, tiny piece of dust of a planet even exists. I'm just saying. Like I said, in a universe where anything is possible, couldn't that scenario be equally as possible as any other? I mean, think about it. It's like having an ant farm, and you provide for these ants. You give them water and give them sugar and all of that. But do you really care what the one ant in that colony feels? No, you don't. It could be that very same exact way for God. I mean, wouldn't that possibility explain why it seems that God's ways are so mysterious? Because there's no rhyme or reason to any of it. Now, would this scenario be so bad? The acceptance of this possibility could have far-reaching and widespread positive ramifications. In that scenario, we would be forced to take responsibility for our own happiness and course of life instead of outsourcing it to God. It would force us to accept life as it is. Reminds me of a Bible verse. It's Ecclesiastes 9:11, right? And it says, "Again, I saw that under the sun, the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to the intelligent, no favor to those with knowledge, but time and chance happen to them all." That is at the core of what I am saying. Perhaps life is just time and chance. Now, I know there are those out there who are saying, hey, what if you're wrong? Of course I could be wrong. I know that. But couldn't the same be said regarding any other take on this situation? Anybody else's view of it, couldn't they also be wrong? Couldn't we all be wrong? Because, see, no one has a patent on the truth when it comes to God. None of us actually know. All of this back and forth is nothing more than mere conjecture. However, given my choice, I choose like Occam's razor, which states that with all possibilities presented, it is usually the simplest one that is the solution. See, I prefer my view of God to be very simplistic instead of convoluted and contradictory. One who allows free will without strings attached. One who creates without the need for worship. And just because you embrace a simpler idea doesn't mean you abandon everything you've learned. The lessons of Jesus are profound, and we will get into a deeper understanding of those lessons in the near future. But for now, let us learn this simple rule, that life is a series of chances and choices that we can take charge over. Not a need for irrelevant questions, because we are content in the fact that we can accept and live life for what it truly is. And we can walk away with the understanding that there is no path to happiness, because happiness is in the path itself. And with that, I wrap up another show. I look forward to getting deeper on this subject matter, and I want to thank my brothers and sisters for your time. Love and blessings, everybody out there. Remember, stay focused, stay positive, and make every moment count. Thanks for taking the time to tune in to the show. I hope you enjoyed listening. If you did, please leave a review or comment, as your positivity is greatly appreciated. Visit soliloquyradio.com under the Listen tab for links to the podcast via your preferred provider, along with links to the Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube channel. I'd like to thank Evening Land, Audionautics, and Vienne for providing music for this broadcast. I would also like to thank all the listeners for their support. And remember, stay focused, stay positive, and make today count.